From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief technologist at Studying Digital Marketing. And today's show, I have Yuri Gerasymov with me. And we're going to talk about visual regression testing and running a side project. So you really want to hear this show, so sit back, relax, enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by All-in-One WP Migration, the most trusted WordPress migration plugin with over 60 million sites served. Whether you are switching hosts, changing domains, or moving to a new server, All-in-One WP Migration makes it one click. Try it for free at WordPress.org or visit servemass.com for pro features. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I have my guest, Mr. Yuri Gerasymov. I hope I got that right or somewhat similar. How are you today, Yuri?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And it's bright and early there. I'm just looking at the time. You're coming to us from Vancouver, BC, or the Vancouver area, actually. And I'm looking at the time, it's 9:44 here, so that means you're up bright and early, my friend.
I do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So today we were going to talk about some visual regression testing, and you wanted to talk about running side projects, but to get into this crazy technology world, and now you're from the Ukraine originally, right?
Right.
And anybody who knows the Ukraine is a very tech-centric company amongst oil, but tech is big in the Ukraine. Is that where it comes from, or did it come from somewhere else?
So tech is really big in Ukraine, and
Yeah,
historically that was, I mean, we had strong engineering schools, and that kind of like
yep,
explains.
yeah.
So Eastern Europe is famous for that. And when I was in university, that was one of the easier ways to start your career. So I can definitely
Mhm.
relate to that boom of technology back in the days.
What did you take in university? Were you a computer science grad or
Oh, no,
something, or
not even
engineering?
that. I did math and physics, but
Oh God.
yes,
No.
but building websites at that time was a very lucrative thing to do, and so everyone did
Yeah.
that, and that's how people choose their careers.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I don't know if I told you, I started in programming. I started on an old Apple II, by the way, first generation Apple II, which I still have as a memento. It works if I want to turn it on. So but that's kind of how I started. And then I morphed into support, and then I morphed into running an agency. So I've been kind of all over the tech centric specialty for a long time. But that's interesting. Um, so you started building websites. What did you start hand coding them, or did you kind of build them from WordPress or another CMS, or how did you
Oh,
go?
just plain PHP, and I remember the times when we were very lucky to get documentation about PHP 4, whatever it
Yep,
was, you know.
yep, yep.
That was very different time. You
Hmm.
like sharing the CD discs with some DN documentation, like
Discs. You're
you
dating
know,
yourself, my friend. You know, we all
it's
remember
special memories.
we all remember if you were in North America, the big online company back in the day was AOL, right? And we
Yeah.
all remember everybody got AOL discs in the mail to get them to join AOL, or you walked into a store and they gave them to you. Believe it or not, just to get you to, it was so much of a different time. And now we buy computers that don't even have CD or DVD drives in them. You have to
Not
buy, I
anymore.
have an external one sitting on the shelf because
Yeah, yeah, that's how it works.
yeah, it's an interesting the beauty of working in tech, whether you're in support, you're in programming, you're in web, and even marketing to some degree is it's changing every day. It changes quickly and it doesn't. it's not boring, right? So
No, changing all the time.
yeah, it's true. Um, so you wanted to talk a little bit about visual regression testing. So I know what that means because I've been doing this a while, but the average listener doesn't get a term like that. So what do you consider that to be?
So I would consider that it is testing on how the website look like. So there's
Yep.
functional testing where you check the functionality,
Yep.
like you click on the button and you expect the result. But visual regression testing means that we check if button didn't move somewhere else or didn't change the color or font is correct one
Mhm.
or whatever other thing that can be broken because of your code changes. That is everything to do with how your clients will see the site.
Yep.
And usually that happens by taking screenshots of the web pages or certain parts of the pages and then making sure that they are exactly how you expect them to be.
Yeah. Now there are some products out there. I know in the WordPress world, for example, there's a product like Adarim out there, if you know it, which kind of allows you to make comments as you're testing on the site. Um, but what I'll say is, I think this is something that most developers miss entirely. They're great designers, but they don't test well.
I agree. And the thing is that they they usually focused on different things of the site. They're focused on reliability, on the speed, on functionality, on the fact that checkout works, and they don't look for these small details like, oh, font is not there. Like, it's still readable. Like, it looks good to me. So they don't have this design eye, and that's a normal thing that sometimes people miss visual things.
Yeah, they actually, the two things I actually miss are the visual things, and I hate to say it, the security side of it, but that's another story. Like those two things, really good designers and devs seem to miss all the time. And I just shake my head. Um, so I've got a new site, and I come to you and I say, help me. So where do we start testing? How do we do it? Do you do it, or do you bring in other people who have never seen the site to do it? How do you go about it?
So it really depends on what you're looking for. Usually, people, when they onboard their projects, they
Yep.
want to make sure that whatever they do to the site, it doesn't break it. So, for example, you roll out the updates or you make some changes to the plugins or to the theme. Theme is very important thing because there are a lot of things that can affect how site look like, and theme is first. So what we would do, we would take screenshots of the key pages of the site and
Yep.
kind of like call them as our baselines. And whatever you do to the site, we will do screenshots again and compare them versus baselines. Um, the what pages to take screenshots? That's interesting topic because usually like you can go both two different approaches. So the first approach is to as you as developer you might know what pages are unique in terms of layouts, type of blocks that are being used. So you would like to cover those. So I'm sure it will be homepage, main listing pages, post types, comments, like things like that. So you would like to cover as many different combinations of different layouts and blocks that you use on the site. Um, and then there's a different approach that I sometimes recommend people when they ask what pages to test is you open your analytics and you take top
Yep.
whatever, 30, 40, 50 pages. Because you don't want to take screenshots of every single page on the site. That will be very resource intense and
Yep.
if you have the same layout, same blocks 100 times, you better test them just twice, maybe, not every single page. So in this way, we identify what pages we start checking, and then we can do it either on demand. For example, you have your update schedule, like once a week thing. So we do that only when we roll out updates, or there's a big
Yep.
deployment. We do it just for that deployment, or
Hmm.
we set up regular monitoring. That's another thing that people use, especially agencies when they want to be more proactive and they want to see what their clients do with the site. Even the content updates, they want to be notified. So this is where you set up weekly monitoring or daily monitoring in some cases, and then you get notifications when something changes.
Yep. I like how you said you prefer to use the analytics. And I hate to go here, but do you know how many sites I look at when I take them on or I take on their care plans that don't have analytics built into them? I don't even want to tell you anymore. People are just lazy. And they always say to me, well, my marketing doesn't work. My site, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where I'm getting traffic. And then I'm looking saying, what are your numbers? I don't know. I hear that story, and you probably do too, way too many times.
That just means that they're busy with other things. You can look at it from different angle and you can be
Oh, I
happy for
know.
them, you know?
I know. I hear you. Um, One of the things I love when you say is when you do a major deployment or a major update, you need to retest. And I think that's something people miss in the web game is websites are not set it and forget it project. And people seem to think that, oh, I create my website, I pay Yuri 5 grand, the site's done. I'll never have to talk to Yuri again. I'll never have to talk to Rob again. I'll never have to do anything again. And then 2 updates later, something breaks and surprise. Because we all know security updates and feature updates break websites. It's just the reality of it all.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And also, even there are like just so many things that can go wrong. So you either go and check them yourself every single time and
Yep.
regularly and be very proactive, or you use some external tools to do that.
Yep. It's true. Most of the sites you're looking at, are they WordPress sites or a combination of WordPress and other things?
It's a combination. So it's WordPress sites, it's Drupal sites. My background more in Drupal development.
Okay.
I did
Yep.
some WordPress websites, but I see that a lot of agencies are actually having different types of sites. Uh, Now I start seeing actually more decoupled websites. So it can be JavaScript framework in front of WordPress or Drupal on the
Yep.
back.
Yep.
So these
Yep.
sites happen as well. And you know, the tooling for testing is actually technology agnostic. It spins up the Chrome browser or Safari or whatever browser you want to use. It opens the page, it takes screenshots, it does some manipulations to it, and that's it. So it doesn't matter what is on the website part.
Yep. Now, you mentioned Chrome or whatever browser. If you're doing visual testing, I think you could be using more than one browser to do your testing. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, yes, it's a great practice to
Yep.
use multiple browsers, but with the time, I see that it's less and less demanding. Like, you do need to use Chrome. It's the most popular one. Like,
Yep. No question.
no questions there. But the thing is that with the modern frameworks, they take care of the sites not breaking in Safari or
Yep.
Internet Explorer. And actually, they start reusing the same engine behind the scenes, these browsers. So it's it's not like it was 10 years ago with Internet Explorer breaking every single thing, and you need to really make sure that the site works. It's getting much, much better, and it's better every year. So
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
use Chrome, you kind of like 90% there.
Yeah. You mean you're just saying Internet Explorer, affectionately known as Internet Exploder, right? Back in the day. For that exact reason. You're laughing at me, but that was like the nickname because we all knew because Microsoft back in the day had their own extensions. Remember front page? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we all been. What's the timing take? So if you're without giving away secret sauce, if your team is looking at say my site to do and call the site 100 pages, what's the timing take to do testing on that the first time? So it was a couple hours, a couple days? Like, what are you looking at?
So there is one important step when you're onboarding the site is that you
Yeah,
need to freeze all dynamic elements. Otherwise,
yeah,
they will be slightly different. Slider will be in a different position,
yeah,
and it will just generate things, we call them false positives. It's the change, but actually nothing changed. It's just the dynamic behavior. So the initial setup, it takes time. And we're talking about you onboard the site, I or my team members, we check it and then we see like, oh, there's a slider. Let's inject this little JavaScript that will freeze it, or there's a running bar and this is another one. Depending on that complexity, it can take a couple of days. So
mhm,
that happens. But once that is done, actually performing the test is really, really fast. You can run hundreds of screenshots in 10 minutes, and in this way, you can test your site like not instant. You will need to wait 10, 15 minutes after you did all the deployments and kick
yeah.
out all the jobs. But it doesn't take too much time.
No. And what's the typical client that comes to you? Is it a small entrepreneur? Is it an agency with 50 sites? Or are we talking Fortune 500s? Or are we talking somewhere all over the map?
Right now, my main customer profile is agencies, and the
Okay.
agencies that do more complex sites where they have budgets, where they
Yeah.
usually they have not just one person on the project, but maybe a team. Sometimes they have even QA dedicated person who runs all the automation and checks the results. But the thing is that I do have agencies who run the websites for small businesses. I do have, we work with universities because whenever you have a situation when there is a small team but large number of sites, there is a bottleneck of testing. They cannot go and check those sites manually. For
Mhm.
example, universities, sometimes you deal with a team of three, four people and they have 1,000 websites. It's like large multi-sites and they have four or five different themes and different variations, and there is no way possible they can go and check them manually every time they do some changes.
Yeah,
So yeah,
they're monsters. And sometimes universities have sub-sites for different departments too. So they tend to be monsters is beyond belief sometimes. I
absolutely.
have a I have a friend who works for Carleton in Ottawa, and theirs is all WordPress sites. And he says it's unreal the number of sites they have running around. He says it's just crazy. So yeah, it can be very high. Um, in terms of this type of testing, I think you have to do it. I really do. I think you guys are providing a really good service because I think a lot of people don't understand the value of this. And they don't understand the value until they get bit at, so to speak, right? Until something happens. Unfortunately, that's our business. You do a lot of this testing with e-commerce sites, or are they kind of not on the radar?
I have a few. It's
Yeah.
not a big part of the customer base. We even have we have even a client who does Shopify. That is like
I was going
completely
to ask
different.
that.
Yes, and the reason why they wanted to do the visual testing is that they have four developers that go and change the CSS online on the site
Oh,
and also
yeah.
site owner. And that was a complete mess because things get broken like all the time. Uh, so e-commerce is, I feel that it is very high potential market because the importance of making sure that
Mhm.
nothing gets broken and the complexity, because it's so easy to just keep adding plugins and now you will have a site with like 50 different plugins that do slightly different things and good luck maintaining that site.
Oh, that good luck is the understatement of the year because we all know people get silly. Oh, I can't do this function, so let's install another plugin. I'm looking at one of those right now where there's five plugins on a site that all do the same thing. It's let's install another piece of code. And And forget the visual side. We all know what issues that causes from a speed standpoint, a security standpoint, a maintenance standpoint. It just goes up and up and up, right? And
Yeah.
you just shake your head some days.
That's true. And it takes a lot of courage to just try to resolve those issues after some time.
I have one site right now where the speed is off when somebody installed 4 caching plugins and they're all active.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I'm
And
glad
you
site
wonder why,
works.
and you wonder why, right? Yeah.
Yes.
You're laughing at me because you know this deal. That's the thing,
It's
right?
hard. It's hard. And we even have cases when people use visual testing specifically to debug caching issues because the
Oh,
problem with
really?
caching is that it can work on some pages, but some pages not, and you just completely miss it. And then you open that page and it misses key images, or
Yeah.
some assets are not loaded and JavaScript throws an error and things like that, you know. So
I have to ask a question now. I would think the listener and viewer is thinking, oh, we're talking all about the desktop. You do the visual testing on mobile too?
yes. It's a matter of breakpoints. So idea is that you want to test your site on different breakpoints, on
Yep.
different and the thing is that for every project, those could be different. Like you know that there's a phone, there's a tablet, but when the site actually switches, it's
Yeah.
very individual and it's sometimes it's a design decision. So in Diffie, we allow you to specify what breakpoints you want to test the site,
Okay.
and in that way you can cover multiple devices.
And what I would say to anybody is if you're visual testing, you need to keep in mind mobile is accounting for probably 50 to 60% of your traffic. I just know what's out there and the way I function. So you should at least be testing a browser on a phone, a browser simulated on an iPad, I would say probably. A browser maybe on an Android tablet, which isn't that much difference from an iPad, except on the iPad you've got Safari. Um, and at least a desktop, because I think mobile is so much a part of our world, it matters. And I know I go nuts as a consumer when I go to a website and it looks crappy on mobile. That's a sure way to get me as a customer never to go back there again. Like honestly.
This is where analytics topic comes up very,
Yep. Go ahead.
very much, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because you
Right.
open the site and then you see like, oh, the first visits is like 50, 60% from this range of phones.
Yep.
And okay,
Yeah.
let's pick that one and make sure that it's being tested.
Yeah. And what I would tell you is the 2 pages you have to test and test and test. And just based on what I've seen over the years, is your homepage, which is your number one page, no matter what anybody wants to say. And the other one is your about page. And people forget that one. But if you start looking at analytics, about pages are usually very high up on the list. Contact pages are usually very high up on the list. It sounds simple. They're the ones that are ranking. Like, and I don't think I'm off base, am I?
No, I can tell you about my analytics. We are a tech
Sure,
company,
please tell me.
right?
Tell me.
And the top three is homepage, features. I mean, we are for
Yeah,
developers. Developers love, and then about us. That's simple because people want to see
yeah,
and read the stories about other people and how the companies are being built. So I totally
yeah,
relate to that.
yeah. And so, besides visual testing, you wanted to talk about a little bit about running side project too. And why does that matter? I mean, people get caught on. Even I've got multiple side projects on the go, so I don't even know if I want to dive in. Why is that such a big deal?
Um, well, there are a lot of things happening right now
Yeah,
with the market in tech, and sometimes people are just getting very not bored, but it's getting hard to like keep running the same business all the time.
yeah,
And some people are trying to think, oh, agency life is so hard. You need to find those clients and they churn and like, oh, and I keep rebuilding same things again and again. I cannot reuse. Like, we better do products. And then they switch to products, and it's even harder over there. And, and then they switch back, and then they switch again. And so, um, what is my idea for the side projects? Because I run Diffie as a side project right now. I have a full-time engineering job. I do
Okay.
web development. I do back-end development mostly. And Diffie is something that I run on the side. And I feel like it helps you in multiple directions. It helps you to appreciate your job, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Also,
Yep.
you have to you try to experience other aspects of the business because like running the business is very helpful in terms of you understand how it runs. You understand that the clients are, in the end of the day, the ones who are paying you, and
Yep.
support is extremely important, and people care about technology way less than you do. So there are a lot of benefits of getting you back
Yep.
to life,
Yep.
because you can get lost in your engineering job just doing my code and it should be perfect and all day things like that. And also in terms of like financial security, we know that people like when they have a single source of income, and for example, in my family, I'm the only person who works in the family, and you need to have some safety net. And the side projects is the one to do that because then you understand like, okay, if something happens with the job, I still have side projects. If you have a few of them, then you kind of like balance things much better.
Yep. I get that. When I was in, what I'll share with you is when I was in healthcare, I started studying digital marketing as a side project because I saw the writing on the wall. There were changes going on at the management level I didn't like. And I was a major project leader in the client services end. And somebody once said to me quietly, a friend of mine, why are you still here? And I said, honestly, they're going to package me out sooner or later. So let them do it and let them cost some money. And I'll just come to work 9 to 5, and put my energy when I'm not on call, because I was on call all the time too. That's another story. When I'm not on call, I'm going to put my energy into building my side project. By the time I was let go and packaged out, I'd already done 28 websites on the site at that
Mhm.
point. So, and then you can take that side project and then transition it into a full-time deal instead of having to go from nothing to 100. You're going in stages, and I think that's where it matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like how like there is a podcast startups for the rest of us, and
Yeah,
the Rob Walling, he talks about this steps type of businesses. So you start with something very simple, info products, for example, and then you step up, and then the next business is probably bigger. And then if you're really into it, you go up and up and up and up, and then it can replace your main source of income. But in this way, you do it in safely manner. And if it takes 10 years, well, it takes 10 years, but you're not running the venture fund type of business where you just burn out yourself.
yeah. But you also got to watch, in your case, you've got a family, you're running all over the place, you've got a side project, you've got a full-time job, and you got to worry about burnout from the fact, are you extending yourself too much as well? You got to be very careful of that.
I am not saying it's easy.
No, it's
Uh,
not. Like you got to balance it. And then somewhere in there, you have to, and I had this problem too, because being a major project leader doesn't always mean a 9 to 5, even though we all would like it to be. You have to balance where you sit in the middle of that too. And that's the hard part, right? It's balancing it all. It's not easy. It can be very rewarding, but you got to balance it, is what I'm saying.
absolutely. And my philosophy so far was if somebody else on the team can do this type of work, I just delegate. And I got lucky. I passed the moment of being able to hire someone else. So I have a little team. I do nearly no development on Diffie myself, even though I'm an engineer and I would love to do that. But I have people who do development. I have people who help me with marketing, and then
Yeah,
the only thing I cannot outsource, of course, is the support and communication with clients and sales right now.
yeah, yeah.
But there will be time, hopefully soon, that I will be able to delegate that part as well.
Now, and let's break that down because you're being really smart. You said something. I have a team. I have people. It's really important, especially as smaller business owners, right? You're a medium business, that we don't try and take on too much ourselves. And business owners, entrepreneurs are notorious at that. I'll do the accounting, I'll do the legal, I'll do this, I'll do my marketing, I'll do my social media, I'll do my website, I'll do the, and they wonder why at the end of the week they're burned out and done. And you're being smart and saying, hey, if I can delegate it, I'm going to delegate. And that's a good lesson to a lot of people because they got to realize if you can delegate something off their plate, do it. I do it all the time. And people laugh at me and say, how do you with all your clients work 40 hours a week? And I said, very simple. I delegate, 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 and automate, automate, automate. And in the world of AI, when we won't get into all the negative stuff with AI, it's easier to automate than ever before if done properly.
Oh, absolutely. I can give you examples.
Sure, go ahead. Share one.
For example, like marketing side of things, it's amazing. Like I remember I was writing all the articles for the blog posts and everything.
Yep.
Now what
Yep.
I do, I talk to AI. I mean, literally, I record a session. I'm talking about a certain topic, and then ask like, okay, transcribe, build an article, and it still has my authentic ideas. It's not AI generated out of nowhere that is completely useless. It still has a lot of great content, but the time that I need to spend myself generating this content is just like so much less. And in that way, I can spend like a couple of hours a week to generate the content and
Yeah.
then I can do the posts. And it's a good quality thing. There is nothing, nothing wrong. If I would be writing it myself, it would not take 2 hours. It would take maybe 10 hours, but the quality would be maybe slightly higher. But it's a great balance.
No, there's no question. And that's the right use of AI is saying, I need to be involved, not, hey, Gemini, hey, Claude, hey, whatever, do it for me. You're actually telling it. One of the biggest ways I use AI, it's this podcast. Um, AI generates my show notes from the podcast.
Yeah.
I used to do them myself because I didn't want to go offshore, and that saves me 3 hours an episode. And it's still my voice because it's my show, right? And there's a good example.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I think we're getting better and better. Um, I have to ask you, do you see your business becoming a full-time business eventually? Is that the goal? Or is that not the goal?
Right now, it's not the goal. I really enjoy the journey. Let's put it this
Okay.
way.
But as long
But
as as, as long as you're enjoying the journey, that's what's important.
yeah, yeah. The thing is that I used to be very active in open source, and I used to travel to
Yep.
all conferences, and I have a lot of friends. And this is kind of like a project that helps me to keep in touch and keep being involved. Because I go to the conferences, I meet friends, I have potential discussions, and oh, like a couple of weeks ago, I went to DrupalCon in Chicago, and there was a
Okay.
session that I was not part of. But I saw Diffie in the name of I saw the Diffie in the notes. And that was session by one of the clients. And I went to the session and they did like fully fledged demo for like 10 minutes in the very end. And I was just like blown away. I didn't talk to them to do this and they did it for me. And then there was another, like, they had probably like three, four clients of us. and one of them stood up and said like, "Oh, and by the way, Yuri's here, and he's the one who is building whole thing." And that was just like, wow, I never experienced anything
Yeah,
like this. So,
yeah.
you know,
It's because of relationships. It's like I walked into Flight Camp in Toronto in February, and
mhm,
somebody came up to me and said, "I recognize your voice because I do a podcast."
yeah,
And I'm, as of this episode, will to tell you where we're at, will be episode 650 when it releases. And they said, "I recognize your podcast and I've been listening for years." Never met the gentleman. He was from outside of Toronto, but
mhm,
that's what happens at conferences.
yeah.
And by the way, if you're interested in open source, WordCamp Canada is coming to Vancouver next year. So just keep
Oh,
that.
yes, yes, I heard. That's great.
It was in Ottawa the last 2 years, and this year they're moving it to Vancouver. So, but that's the value of going to conferences. It's building the relationships. That's probably my biggest enjoyment out of doing the show, beyond all the business reasons to do it. It's building those relationships and meeting people like you. Like that's really important to me, and it's important to you as well. I can tell.
Absolutely. And seeing your friends progressing in their careers and discussing
Yeah.
all the things, it's a really great pleasure to do.
Yeah, and the open source community, whether it's Drupal, whether it's WordPress, whether it's any of that stuff, Joomla is still open source too,
Yeah.
or any of the PHP community, PressConf, which just happened. Those are really important, to be honest. I haven't done many this spring, but I've got a couple coming up. I've got a couple marketing conferences, big ones that are local. I did PodCamp in February, March, which I always do. Um, for a change, I actually didn't present. I bailed this year.
Mhm.
Presentations are a lot of work, so it's like no, I didn't have the headspace for it, but that's just the way it goes. But the point is, they're important, and I think we got to get to where we were before the pandemic in 2020 and start getting out to conferences more and start being with people more and start having conversations more.
Absolutely. And yeah, the numbers are like drastically low right now. It's
Yeah,
I remember
they
the
really are.
conferences of being like 3, 4,000 people, and now it's like 1,200, 1,400, and it's still a lot, you know.
It's
But
still yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it could be
And
better.
going to a conference is a skill too, because you got to look at the agenda. My problem is every time I go to a word camp or a conference, the biggest joke is how many talks do I actually see? And usually the answer is between 0 and 5 in 2 days. Because I end up catching up with people that I haven't seen. I know I've been around a long time like you, but in different circles. And you start seeing people, and those conversations have legs. And they're, in a lot of respects, sometimes more important than the presentations themselves.
Oh, way more. Because when you keep relationships and people start making introductions, that is amazing thing. So you go there and you never
Yeah.
know who you will meet. You know that you will meet certain people, but what is happening is that you stand in the hallway and they just like, oh, by the way, like come in and like you need to talk to Yuri about testing or something completely
Oh,
different than that
it happens all the time.
all
I
the time.
remember being at WordCamp Toronto the year that Gutenberg dropped in the WordPress world. And I ended up in the break room, and one of the organizers grabbed me when seen me in about 6 months and said, "What do you think of all this?" And that question turned into a 2 hour conversation with 5 people around the table before it was out. So was that worth it? Probably more worth it than, I hate to tell it, than this talk going on in the room next to me, right? So, you know.
For
Yuri,
sure.
thanks so much, my friend. Always a pleasure. If somebody wants to find more about Diffie on what you do and what services you provide, where's the best way to go?
I think our website is diffie.website. That will be the best source. And for every email that you will send, probably I will be the first one to respond. So it's very easy to get hold of me.
Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful day and be well.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Bye. Thanks again to our sponsor, All-in-One WP Migration by ServeMask. Export your entire WordPress site in one click, import it anywhere. No server access needed, no command line, works with every hosting provider. Free on WordPress.org or extension at servemask.com. A very special thank you to Yuri for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.